Good afternoon, student. Welcome to the live lecture of Real Analysis 2. In the last lecture, we have studied the definition of finding the Lebesgue integral of an arbitrary function. Okay, in order to find out the Lebesgue integral of an arbitrary function, first we have defined the positive part of the function and the negative part of the function, and we have seen both these positive part and negative part of the functions are the non-negative functions, and we know the criteria how to find out the Lebesgue integration of the non-negative function. Therefore, Lebesgue integration of any arbitrary function f we have defined to be integration f plus. Actually, this given function f can be written as a difference of positive part and negative part like this. And then how we have defined the integration? Integration is defined to be integration f is integration f plus minus integration f minus. Therefore, one can say that this f arbitrary function f is integrable only if these two functions, positive part and negative part of the function f are integrable. Okay. Also, we have seen one preposition on this. What is a preposition? It is regarding the operations of integration, right? Now, integration cf is c into integration f plus g is integration f integration g, and much more. 4 points we have proved in all in the last lecture. Now today we were going for an important theorem called as Lebesgue convergence theorem. Before that we will see this example. The example is going to help us while studying the Lebesgue convergence theorem. What this example says that if f is an integrable function, then our aim is to prove that mod f is also integrable, and this we wanted to show modulus of an integration is less than or equals to integration of the mod f function. This kind of statement we have verified in case of Riemann integration, correct? No, this kind of
Yes, ma'am.
now we wanted to show that if the function f is integrable with respect to Lebesgue integration, then also the same kind of statement is valid. Okay, and the question is, what about the reverse? Whether the integrability of mod f implies the integrability of f is the question. Okay, first we will prove the first part, that is knowing f is integrable, we will try to prove the mod f is integrable. Now, if f is integrable, what we know, both positive part and negative part of the functions are integrable, right? How we were writing any function f in terms of these two functions, f is equal to f plus minus f minus, where both f plus and f minus are non-negative functions. If f is integrable, therefore may I say both f plus and f minus are integrable? Because if one of them is not integrable, can we say that the function f is integrable?
No, ma'am.
No, it is not. Therefore, knowing f is integrable, one can say that f plus and f minus are integrable. Then what about mod f function? Mod f is defined to be f plus plus f minus, right? Okay, whenever f is defined like this, how mod f is defined? Mod f is defined as positive part of f plus negative part of f. Therefore, if both the functions f plus and f minus are integrable, can I say mod f is integrable?
Yes, ma'am.
Therefore, the first part is true. That is, we have proved the first statement that if f is integrable, we have proved that mod f is integrable. Let us try to prove this one. Okay, this inequality, modulus of integration f is integration of mod of f. Yes, mod f we know that it is being defined to be f plus plus f minus, which is always greater equal by f plus minus f minus, which is nothing but f. Therefore, what we wanted to claim, whether mod f is greater equal by f or not. Yes, it
Yes,
is.
ma'am.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
If f is positive, having a positive value, then both the values are same. But if f is negative, mod f will be greater than that negative value. This is what we wanted to claim. Now, whenever we were writing mod f greater than f, what kind of statement is true? Mod f is greater than by f and mod f is greater than by minus f also, right? Mod f greater than f and also greater than by minus of f. Now, we have proved one preposition. Whenever f is greater equal by g or whenever f is less equal by g, what about their integrations? Integration
Same
here?
inequality.
Yes, this is same inequality. This is what we have used. Let us take the integration of both this. Now, whether mod f is integrable is already proved. What about this minus f? Whether it is integrable? If f is integrable, can I say minus f integrable?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it is. Therefore, knowing both all the three functions, three types of function, mod f, plus f, minus f involved, all these are integrable. Therefore, let us take the integration over the measurable set E. Therefore, what is this integration gives us? Integration mod f is greater equal by integration f. Here also it is the same. Now let me just combine this inequality. What kind of inequality we were getting? Mod f greater equal by f. Let me write integration f in the middle. Okay. And now this is less equal by integration mod f. Correct. And this is greater equal by minus integration mod f. Okay. So what kind of statement we have obtained? Minus x less than or equals to x less than or equals to say plus x. Okay. Then what can I write? Mod of a
Mod A
less than
less
or
than x.
less than or equals to x. Therefore, here combining this statement, one can say mod of integration here is less than or equals to integration of mod of f, right? Therefore, this kind of statement we have proved. Now, what about the reverse? It was asked, if mod f is integrable, then whether f is integrable. What is mod f? Mod f is f plus f minus. If I am saying mod f is integrable, what about the integrability of f plus and f minus?
Integrable.
Both are integrable.
Yes, both are integrable, because if one of them is not integrable, mod f will not be integrable. Now, if both of them are integrable, what about the function f? Function f is f plus minus f minus. That is, it is a subtraction of two integrable functions, whether it is integrable or not.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it
Yes,
is
ma'am.
integrable. Right now? Therefore, one can say that if mod f integrable, then f is also integrable. Okay. Therefore, whether you have understood this example, f integrable implies mod f integrable. Reverse also true. If mod f integrable implies f is also integrable. This is what we wanted to prove. Now let us come to a next important theorem known as Lebesgue convergence theorem. This Lebesgue convergence theorem is also known as Lebesgue dominated convergence theorem. Lebesgue dominated convergence theorem. Now the word dominated is used in the statement. How? Let us see. What is the statement? Let G be integrable function over E, Fn be the sequence of measurable functions such that mod Fn less than or equals to G on E for all n, such that Fn converges to F almost everywhere. Then integration F is equals to limit integration Fn. This kind of statement already we have verified in previous theorem. Can anyone tell me which theorem it is?
Monotone convergence.
Yes, it is monotone convergence theorem. What is the restriction on that function here in monotone convergence theorem?
Increasing.
F is good. Sequence Fn is increasing measurable functions. No, sequence of increasing measurable function. But here it is not given to be increasing. What it is given? It was given with some other restriction. What is that restriction? G be integrable function. Fn be the sequence of measurable functions such that mod Fn is less than or equals to G. That is, here one can say the function G dominates each Fn. Right? Mod Fn less than or equals to G, it means that function G dominates each Fn. Right? That's why the other name is Lebesgue dominated convergence theorem. Lebesgue dominated convergence theorem. Okay. Now, why the name is convergence theorem? Because here, whatever is this F is there, no? How can I write this F? This is limit Fn, no? F is limit Fn because Fn converges to F almost everywhere. Now we were going to write this as limit integration Fn. Therefore, whatever the convergence theorem we have studied previously also, bounded convergence theorem, monotone convergence theorem, Fato's lemma. Okay, in monotone convergence theorem also this kind of statement we have proved, but with some different restriction on the sequence Fn of measurable functions. Therefore, this convergence theorem actually tells us that this limit and integration, these two operators are interchangeable. That is, integration of limit Fn is equals to limit integration Fn. This is what convergence. Okay, integration of convergent sequence is limit of the convergence. Integration of limit is limit of integration. This is what the convergence theorem tells, right? Now we are going to prove this. The proof is very easy. Whenever I wanted to prove this kind of statement, what one should prove first? May I say it is necessary to prove f integrable, because
Yes,
unless
ma'am.
f is integrable, there is no meaning to this, right? Correct now? There is no meaning to this symbol. Therefore, what we have to check initially, whether f is integrable or not. The first job. If it is integrable, then only there is a meaning. This statement has some meaning. Otherwise, there is no meaning to this equation. Therefore, first job is to show that f is integrable. What is the condition given to us? Mod fn less than or equals to g. G is integrable. Okay, what we have studied about the integrability, it is having a finite value, no? Integration g is finite. Therefore, if I take an integration on both the sides, integration fn less than or equals to integration g. Therefore, may I say each fn is integrable? Because if
Yes, ma'am.
integration g is finite, the term which is lower than that, which is lesser than that, is again finite. Okay. Therefore, fn is integrable. If each fn is integrable, may I say the limit point is also integrable. Okay. Therefore, here in the proof itself, it was written somewhere at the end part. But we will write here it is. These two statements we have to write at the starting of the proof. In the notes, it was written in the middle of the proof, right? Therefore, what we know, as per the condition, mod fn is less than or equals to g. Therefore, may I say mod f is also less than or equals to g. Since g is integrable, what is g integrable means? What is the meaning of g integrable?
Integration value is finite.
Less than infinity. Good. Whatever is your domain, E. This is finite. If integration g is finite, what about integration mod fn? If I take
Finite.
is to be finite. Therefore, since g is integrable, may I say f integrable. Similarly, mod f integrable, because mod f is also having same value. No? Integration mod f is less than or equals to integration g. Correct? Integration
Yes,
mod
ma'am.
f equals to integration g. Integration g finite gives me integration mod f finite. Therefore, mod f is integrable. And by previous example, f is integrable. Similarly, may I say each fn is also integrable with this statement. Integration mod
Yes,
fn is
ma'am.
less than or equal to integration, right? Therefore, here you should write this at starting. Write this at starting of the proof, this statement. Because first we have to claim that f and fn both are integrable. Then only we can proceed to have the proof. Okay. Now let me proceed to write the proof of this. Now, according to the condition mod fn is less than or equals to g, what is the meaning? May I write this as minus g less than or equals to fn less than or equals to g. Okay. Then I want to construct non-negative functions from this inequality. Therefore, what kind of non-negative functions I can construct? Let us shift this g to fn side, right side. Therefore, what kind of function it is? Fn plus g greater or equal by 0 means it is non-negative. Similarly, let me shift f to this right side. Therefore, this g minus fn. Therefore, may I say both fn plus g and g minus fn constructs the non-negative function. Construct the non-negative functions for all n. Therefore, sequence fn plus g and sequence g minus fn forms the sequences of non-negative measurable functions. Right? Non-negative measurable functions. But what is one more condition given? Fn converges to f almost everywhere. Therefore, what about this limit sequence fn plus g? May I say it converges to f plus g almost everywhere, and this also converges to f plus g almost everywhere. This is what we have seen in the operations of limits of convergent sequences, right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Here for every n, g is going to be a function g itself, no? Try to understand this fact actually. Whenever we will try to find out a sequence, fn plus g, for n equals to 1 to infinity, what kind of sequence it will be? This is f1 plus g, f2 plus g, right? No? Means g is treated like a fixed value, like a fixed constant, right? Therefore, this fn plus g will converge to f plus g almost everywhere. Similarly, g minus fn converges to g minus f almost everywhere. Now, if this is true and we are having the sequences of non-negative measurable functions, let me use the Fatou's lemma. Now, what Fatou's lemma says? Yes, for the sequence of non-negative measurable functions,
Integration f is less than or equal to limit integration f.
is it limit integration or limit anything else?
Lower limit.
Yes, it is lower limit, limit infima, right? No? May I write the statement in short here? What is the sequence? Fn is the sequence of non-negative measurable function such that fn converges to f almost everywhere. Then we have proved that integration f is less than or equals to limit inferior, lower limit of integration fn. This is what a statement we have, right? Now we have two sequences, fn plus g and g minus fn, which converges to f plus g almost everywhere and g minus f almost everywhere, right? Why I have written almost everywhere here? Because fn converges to f almost everywhere, correct? Now let us use Fatou's lemma for these two sequences, fn plus g and g minus fn. What kind of statement it is giving me then? Integration f plus g is less than or equals to limit inferior integration fn plus g. Here you can put a bracket if you have a confusion, right? Otherwise it may seems that it is limit integration plus integration fn added with some function g. No, it is limit inferior integration of this whole integral. Okay. Now, what we wanted to claim, this is equal to limit. Integration f is equal to limit integration fn. Okay. For this purpose, now let us try to just separate this. Okay, look at this. Here I will write this detailed step. How can I separate this part? Knowing g minus fn is a non-negative function, may I write this as limit inferior integration g minus integration fn?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then what about the limit? May I write this as limit inferior for the sake of convenience? Therefore, may I say this is limit inferior of integration g minus integration fn. Okay. Now let us take limit inferior of both these terms. Therefore, the first will give me limit inferior of integration g itself. Right. What about limit in here? It is negative. No. This is plus limit inferior of which integration? In negative integration fn. But already somewhere we have seen limit inferior of a set with negative values. What will be the cost? What will be the effect of limit inferior on this negative integration fn?
Superior.
Yes, it becomes supremum. Limit inferior integration g becomes limit supremum integration fn. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Therefore, here it was written. Okay, what for the first one? Integration f plus g, same kind of argument now we will follow. Is it integration fn plus integration g? Let us separate the limit. Okay, limit inferior of integration fn plus limit inferior of integration g. But as g is integrable, what about this limit integration g? Or what about limit, lower limit and upper limit?
Integrable.
No, question is what about limit, lower limit integration g?
Equal असणार ma'am.
Yes, it is equal. Therefore, may I write this is upper limit integration g, right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Integration g. Therefore, here whatever is in limit inferior of integration g was written simply integration g, because this limit is actually n tends to infinity. But is there any n in this g?
No, ma'am.
No, that's why it is simple integration g. Therefore, here also limit integration fn is taken as it is, but limit integration g was written simple integration because there is no use of limit inferior or limit superior. Similarly, here also limit inferior g. Is there any n in this? Limit is n tends to infinity actually, but there is no n. Therefore, this is taken as integration g as it is, and this limit inferior was changed to limit superior. Sorry, here it is minus. When I check, when I take it outside, it is minus. Minus limit superior. Right? Therefore, this is minus limit superior. Therefore, we have obtained these two equations. Okay. Now, what to do? Knowing g is integrable, integration g is less than infinity. No. Therefore, can I cancel this integration g on both the sides? Having some finite value. Similarly, can I cancel this integration g on both the sides? What we remains with? First part gives us integration f less than or equals to limit inferior integration fn. Okay. And what about the second part? The second part gives us minus integration f less than or equals to minus limit superior. Right? This one. Okay. Let us absorb the negative here. How can I absorb the negative? By changing the inequality. Right? Therefore, let us absorb the negative. Integration f is now greater or equal by limit supremum or limit superior integration fn. Combine both the inequalities. We know the obvious relation between limit inferior and limit superior. What is the obvious relation? Limit inferior is less equal by limit superior always. Right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Therefore, this limit inferior is greater or equal by integration f. Limit superior is less than or equals to integration f. End points are equal. Therefore, may I say all the three are equal?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Which gives us integration f is limit inferior integration fn equal to limit superior integration fn. Finally, it gives us integration f is limit integration fn. Hence the proof. Okay. Here you have to see carefully. Integration g minus f. How this limit inferior changes to limit superior. If I take negative out, limit inferior becomes limit superior. Right now? No problem for this integration fn. It was taken as it is. And simply here it was not written limit inferior integration g. They have written directly g, integration g. Why? Because there is no n, there is no effect of this limit inferior on g. Okay? Instead of saying this, let me just, here it is. Okay, but instead of saying like this, may I say as there is no n, as there is no n in integration g, as there is no n in integration g, thus limit integration g is equals to integration g. Okay? Yes, any difficulty in the proof? If you have, you can ask me. If I have written this on my notes, then I have written this two separately. They have written here it is combinedly, both the steps, right? I hope there is no difficulty. Okay? Shall I proceed to the next theorem then?
Yes.
This is what Lebesgue convergence theorem we have seen. Now, let us come to a next theorem called as generalized Lebesgue convergence theorem. Now, in the generalized Lebesgue convergence theorem, whatever g we have taken in the previous theorem, mod fn less than or equals to g, that is the each fn is dominated by g we have written, no? Mod fn less than or equals to g we have written in the previous theorem. Now, instead of this single g function, which is going to dominate each fn, if we have some sequence of integrable functions, say gn, okay, where every gn dominates every fn. where Gn dominates Fn, if I can say. Okay, see, let us read the statement. Let Gn be the sequence of integrable functions which converges to an integrable function, say G, almost everywhere. That is, Gn converges to G almost everywhere is given. Fn be the sequence of measurable functions such that, see, look at this condition now. Mod Fn less than or equals to Gn for all n. That is, G1 dominates F1, G2 dominates F2, and so on. And whatever the sequence we were getting, Gn, it will converge to G. And that's why it is generalized. Instead of a single G function which is going to dominate each Fn, we were going to generalize this. That is, finding one function, one dominating function for each Fn. Okay. Then, and also Fn converges to F almost everywhere. And if integration G is limit integration Gn, then it is asked us to prove integration F is limit integration Fn. Right? Is everyone getting me? G is integrable, sequence of Gn be the sequence of integrable function converges to an integrable function G. Means G's are given to be integrables. If we want to check whether those are integrable, once those are integrable, our aim is to prove this kind of statement. Right now, integration F is in limit integration Fn. Actually, this is integration limit Fn. Right now, is equals to limit integration Fn. That is, our aim is to prove in this convergence theorem, integration of limit is limit of the corresponding integration. Okay. Let us try to prove. Again, first job is to check whether F and Fn are integrable. If F, Fn are integrable, then only we can proceed for the proof. Right. Therefore, here let us write this statement in the starting again. This is starting, no? To claim F and Fn are integrable. Very similar to the previous discussion. Mod Fn is given to be mod Fn is given to be less than or equals to Gn, where mod F is less than or equals to G. Right now? Because if I take limit on both the sides, limit mod Fn will converge to limit Gn. What is limit mod Fn? This is mod F. Limit Gn is G. But G is integrable. G and Gn both are integrable. Therefore, may I say mod F and mod Fn are integrable?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
If mod F and mod F are integrable, I can say F and Fn are also integrable. F, Fn are integrable. Therefore, if you are going to write this in the notes, in your notebook, you write this statement first. F and Fn are integrable, and then you start proving this. This proof is very similar to the proof we have given for Lebesgue convergence theorem. What we have done in Lebesgue convergence theorem, we have found two non-negative functions with this inequality. Right now, whatever is this inequality we were getting, we have found two non-negative functions, Fn plus G, G minus Fn, and just we have made use of the Fatou's lemma, and with some suitable steps we can prove it. Similar to this, we were going to prove this generalized Lebesgue convergence theorem. Now, what is given here? Mod Fn less than or equals to Gn for all n, which implies minus Gn less than or equals to Fn less than or equals to plus Gn for all n. Therefore, which two non-negative functions are being constructed then? Is it Fn plus Gn? Fn plus Gn and Gn minus Fn. Okay. Both the sequences are the sequences, convergent sequences. Almost everywhere convergence it is. Therefore, what about limit Fn plus Gn? Is it F plus G? And Gn
Yes,
minus
ma'am.
is G minus Fn almost everywhere. Both sequences are convergent almost everywhere. Let us use Fatou's lemma again. Let us use Fatou's lemma. Fatou's lemma is for the non-negative measurable functions. Therefore, we can use it here. Therefore, integration F plus G is limit inferior integration Fn plus Gn. Similarly, for the second one, integration G minus F is less than or equals to limit inferior integration Gn minus Fn. Okay. Now, Let us just separate this. How can I separate? This is in one bracket, okay? Okay, now let us separate this. How can I separate integration fn plus gn? This is integration fn plus integration gn. Let us take a limit inferior to both these. Limit inferior integration fn added with limit inferior integration gn. We will see half part, first half part only, right? What is the value of limit inferior integration gn? It is given in the statement that g is equals to, this is given, integration g is limit integration gn. What is limit integration gn? May I say limit inferior integration gn is equal to limit superior integration gn.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, therefore what is the value here? Limit inferior integration gn. Is it integration g simply? Here I have written. Right? Okay. Then cancelling integration of g from both the sides, we obtain this first part. Limit integration f less than or equals to limit inferior integration fn. Now let us look at the second half part. What the second half part says that by Fatou's lemma, integration g minus f. Wait. By Fatou's lemma, integration g minus f is less than or equals to limit inferior integration gn minus fn. Can we separate the integration here? Gn minus fn is non-negative, no? Non-negative measurable function. Therefore, can I separate it? Yes, we can.
Yes, ma'am.
Therefore, integration gn minus integration fn, limit inferior was taken. Now, let us apply limit inferior on both these. First, limit inferior integration gn minus limit. What is going to happen here again? I'll write some middle step here again. This is equals to limit integration, limit inferior integration gn added with limit inferior negative integration fn it is, right now? But negative, if I want to take it out, limit inferior becomes limit superior. Therefore, this becomes minus limit superior integration fn. Okay, try to understand this fact. If I want to take negative out, this becomes limit inferior becomes limit superior. Okay, again, what is the value of limit in inferior integration gn?
Integration gn.
Yes, g. Because limit integration gn is integration g, no? Therefore, here again we reached to this step. Integration g minus integration f is integration g minus limit supremum or limit superior integration fn. Again, can I cancel this integration g from both the sides? As g is integrable, this integration g is having a finite value. Therefore, we obtain negative integration f less than or equals to negative limit supremum integration fn. Right? Now, let us absorb the negative again. If I absorb the negative, less equal becomes greater equal. Integration f is greater equal by limit superior. What is the relation between limit inferior, limit superior? We know. Okay. If I just combine the two inequalities, again we have the end parts equal. Therefore, may I say all the three terms are same? Are equal?
Yes,
Hence,
ma'am.
integration f is limit integration fn. Hence, the proof of Lebesgue dominated convergence theorem also. Lebesgue dominated generalized Lebesgue convergence theorem is similar to, the proof is very similar to Lebesgue convergence theorem. If you have a difficulty, you can ask me. Up to this, if you have a difficulty. What convergence theorems means actually? Convergence theorem helps us to interchange limit and integration with one another, right now? Integration limit, we have written limit integration. No? That's why this is what the meaning of convergence theorem. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Shall I proceed to the next point?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, the next point is convergence in measure. Okay, convergence in real analysis with modulus we have seen already, no? What is the definition of convergence? If I am saying any sequence xn converges to L as n tends to infinity. How you were writing this?
Mod xn minus L less than epsilon.
For every for every
Epsilon
q greater than 0.
greater than 0, there exists delta
Is it delta or capital N?
n.
N, na? Natural number N. N in N such that, yes,
Mod xn minus L less than epsilon.
less than epsilon, and is true for all n greater equal by capital N. This is what a definition of convergence of a sequence. Convergence of a sequence with the help of modulus definition. What this modulus gives us actually, this is the length, no? The length concept.
Yes, ma'am.
Now this length we have generalized to measure. Modulus which is giving us the length. This length we have generalized to measure in this Lebesgue measure theory. Therefore, now we were redefining what is convergence in measure theory. What is convergence in measure theory? Okay. Before seeing the convergence in measure theory, one more type of convergence we have seen. Yes, what is the convergence we have seen?
Pointwise convergence.
No. Convergence almost everywhere, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Convergence almost everywhere. What is the definition of convergence almost everywhere? Suppose a sequence of measurable functions or functions converges to EF, we wanted to say. Then almost everywhere. How we have written this? When this is almost everywhere. Yes, student. Almost a convergence almost everywhere, I'm asking you. Hello?
Mod fn minus f less than epsilon almost everywhere.
No. What is a function f equal to g almost everywhere? Yes. How we have defined f equal to g almost everywhere?
Integration of f equal to integration.
No, I'm asking the definition of this statement almost everywhere. Any property is true almost everywhere. Measure of the set.
It is not true for where the measure of set is 0.
Some words you have mixed out. If the property is not true, if we collect those points in a set where the property do not hold, then measure of that set is 0. Okay, that is measure of the collections points x such that f of x is not equal to g of x. If I collect this set and if I find its measure, what will be the measure?
0.
Then how you are going to define convergence in almost everywhere? Actually, convergence actually it means that mod of fn of x minus f of x less than epsilon for n greater equal by capital N. No. Therefore, how convergence almost everywhere is being defined? Measure of the set points x such that. What such that?
Mod is greater than or equal to epsilon.
Yes. Greater equal by epsilon. And what is the measure value?
0.
0. And it is for n greater than or equals to capital. Right now? Convergence
Yes,
almost everywhere. Okay. That is measure of the set where the property do not hold is 0. Okay. This is convergence. You see, many times we have used this, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Converges to f almost everywhere like this we have used already. Okay. Now we are going to define a next convergence, and that definition is convergence in measure. Convergence in measure. The definition is very similar to convergence almost everywhere. This definition is very similar to converge. Not, it is not exactly same. Okay. Now here also, let me just read the definition first. A sequence Fn of measurable functions is said to converge to f in measure if for given epsilon greater than 0 there exists integer capital N such that, what such that, measure of the set collection X such that mod Fnx, I will write here I will write it, mod Fnx minus f of x is greater equal by epsilon. Okay, we are collecting those points of the domain where mod Fnx minus f of x is greater equal by epsilon. Greater equal by epsilon means what is condition gives me? Fnx do not converge to f of x, no?
Yes, ma'am.
We are collecting those points of the domain where the sequence Fnx do not converge to f of x, and measure of this set is less than epsilon. Measure of this set is less than epsilon. Is it okay?
Yes,
What is the
ma'am.
difference between convergence almost everywhere and convergence in measure them? In convergence almost everywhere, the set,
Major value is 0.
yes, major value is 0. But here in convergence in measure, for given epsilon, we can find the measure of that set is less than epsilon. If I write it for all epsilon, what will happen? For all epsilon greater than 0, if I change major value less than every positive number, what is the possibility? Equal to 0, na? Some non-negative value less than by every positive. This measure is always a non-negative quantity, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And if I am claiming it is for all epsilon positive, less than for all epsilon positive, then what is the only possibility? Measure of this set is
0.
0. But here we were not claiming for all. It is for given. Whatever is epsilon given to you, however small, however large, we can find out an integer n such that measure of collection of those elements x where the property do not hold is a less than epsilon. Now in some books, the notation used are different. See how it is. For all eta greater than 0 and given epsilon greater than 0, there exists capital N such that, what such that? Measure of collection X such that mod of Fnx minus f of x greater equal by eta, measure of this set is less than by epsilon. Because sometimes we may get confused with these two epsilon, no? This is something positive number, right? Therefore, I feel this definition is more correct. Okay? Whether epsilon and eta can be same? Yes. For given epsilon, if I take eta equal to epsilon, because here eta can take any value for all eta greater than 0. Correct, no? Try to understand. There is a small difference between convergence in measure and convergence almost everywhere. One. समझते का?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, good. Okay. Now we were going to prove an important proposition that whatever is this convergence almost everywhere is more stronger condition. Can I say it is more stronger? Measure is 0 is more stronger because for every epsilon finding the measure of that set is less than epsilon. Instead of that, convergence almost everywhere is more stronger than convergence in measure. And now we were going to prove that convergence almost everywhere implies convergence in measure. Why convergence almost everywhere implies convergence in measure? Because in convergence almost everywhere, Measure of the set is 0, na? And that of in convergence in measure of that set is less than epsilon. Therefore, may I say 0 is less than epsilon. Epsilon is greater than 0.
Yes, ma'am.
Therefore, convergence almost everywhere implies convergence in measure, but converse need not be true. Let us prove this. Okay, let me assume Fn converges to F almost everywhere. What is the meaning of almost everywhere? Measure of the set collecting X such that the property do not hold is of measure 0. What is the meaning of Fn x do not converge to F of x? For epsilon greater than 0, there exists capital N such that. What such that? Here can I write eta? I feel eta will be the most appropriate notation. Okay. Therefore, for given epsilon, here I can write for any eta greater than 0, there exists n such that mod Fn x minus f of x greater equal by eta, right now? Then what is the measure of Fn x do not converge to f of x? Measure of x such that mod Fn x minus f of x greater equal by eta for all n greater than or equals to capital N and is equal to 0, right now? This measure is 0. Okay. Now, how can I write this? Measure is 0. May I write this measure 0? This is less than by epsilon. Simple. 0 is less than by epsilon. That is what I want to claim simply. Right? Therefore, it is true for all n greater than or equals to, and therefore, which will imply convergence in measure. Therefore, here I will just put a note. Convergence almost everywhere is more stronger than convergence in measure. This is first. What is second? Converse need not be true. Convergence in measure do not imply convergence almost everywhere. Because in convergence in measure of the set is less than epsilon or a fixed epsilon. But in convergence almost everywhere, we want the measure to be less than 0. Right? Now, we have one more preposition depending on this. The preposition is important and the proof is very easy. I suggest you to go through the proof of this. I'll just read this preposition. Fn be the sequence of measurable functions that converge to F in measure. That converge to F in measure. Then there exists a subsequence Fnk which converges to F almost everywhere. Okay. Just go through the proof of this. It's very simple. Okay. One more is there. Last point. Convergence in measure need not imply the pointwise convergence. One example is produced here. You just look at this example also. Okay. In this way, we have completed our unit number 3, Lebesgue integration, in today's lecture. Okay. If you have any query up to this last preposition I left you for homework. Up to now, all the proofs of every proposition I have explained. Therefore, this is left for homework. Therefore, you just go through the proof. Proof is little bit easy. Therefore, you can just cover it very easily. Now, here we will end up with unit number 3. In the next lecture, we will start unit number 4, differentiation and integration. Till then, if you have any difficulty during today's lecture, you can ask me. Yes, students? Understood today's part? Today 3 points.
Yes, ma'am.
Lebesgue convergence, generalized Lebesgue convergence, convergence in measure, and convergence almost everywhere implies convergence in measure as well. If you have any query, you can ask me. 3 units totally completed, almost 80 to 85% syllabus was completed. Still, we will get some 4 or 5 lectures so that we can cover the remaining syllabus. Okay. If no queries, shall I stop then?
Yes, ma'am.